With MrBeast spending over $100 million on the Beast Game project, the same as a blockbuster film, people were expecting to be blown out of the water. But with news giants such as the Rolling Stone, The Guardian and the New York Times describing it as one of the most undignified spectacles ever shown on TV, you may be wondering where it all went wrong. With this being MrBeast's first televised show, it's to be expected to have some unforeseen issues, but with controversy this bad, it's clear he was focused much more on the success of the show rather than the people who are actually making it possible. This is a familiar issue with MrBeast's videos where he prioritizes show business, drama and money rather than doing it to actually help people. He seems to have realized at some point within the past 7 years of his YouTube career that dangling money in front of people with financial hardship is a much quicker way to his own success. Going back even 7 years to when MrBeast first hit viral success with his video titled "Giving a Random Homeless Man $10,000, it was clear he was only doing it for his own gain, as he even states on a podcast later down the line that he only gave the man the entire $10,000 because it would look better in the title, making it clear he wasn't doing it because he actually cared.
I'm sure you guys have heard the story, but for people that don't know, I was offered $5,000 for a video. But this was when I was like 19, and it was so much money. It's like, Mom, look, and I was like, double it, and I'll walk outside and I'll give it to a homeless person. And they're like, no, you won't. And I was like, double it. And I like pacing around my neighborhood for 3 hours convincing this guy, like on the phone, just double the money. I promise the video will go viral and I'll give it to homeless person. I was like, $10,000 just looks better in a title. It'll get more views. I promise your app will do better. And I ended up getting $10,000 and then gave it away. And my mom's like, why don't you just give away $8,000, $9,000? Why all $10,000? I was like, Mom, it'll look better in the title.
Following this video, MrBeast would only become more dramatic in each video and more fixated on the money. This theme continues to the extreme in the new show with ostentatious displays of wealth, yelling, and just heaps of over-accentuated drama. Even in the first episode of the show, you see people losing their minds, breaking down in tears, and generally embarrassing themselves over the slim possibility of winning $5 million. A very good example of this is in the very last challenge of the episode when MrBeast offers cash rewards to bribe people to leave whilst eliminating the rest of their column.
The fact is, I'm here for myself and my family, and I just...
Hey, gotta respect it.
I did it, bro.
It's just not fair. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like, it just didn't do anything.
Let's see if anyone else wants 50 grand.
Right here, dog.
Dude, what the Walter?
I feel bad for those guys, but
If you just don't turn around, they don't exist.
yeah, that's kind of the mindset that I'm going for.
Don't take 50K. That's so stupid. I don't even want to look at him. I don't forgive him.
In each challenge, there is just a truly unpalatable sense of despair and discomfort, leaving a bitter taste in the mouth of the viewer. I mean, there are grown adults throwing full-blown tantrums, begging on their knees whilst on a televised show, which makes the viewing experience that much more uncomfortable. We also have to address the blatant rip-off of Squid Games. From the costumes to the concept, it's hard to distinguish one from the other. From the perspective of Squid Game, you watch these rich and powerful individuals betting on the poor as the contestants try to outwit each other, with a rich storyline, hidden details and growing character development. But from the Beast Games perspective, you watch MrBeast make hundreds of real people completely miserable by stripping away their dreams of winning the grand prize because of sheer luck, with barely any skill-based or strategic challenges, and most of the time MrBeast just pays off tens of people to leave, making the entire show feel completely pointless. It may as well be a raffle with a grand prize of $5 million. And you may say to yourself, well, at least nobody dies in Beast Games compared to Squid Games, but I can assure you this wasn't from lack of trying, with one report stating one diabetic woman was denied her insulin for 2 days and exhibited signs of diabetic shock, said contestant Sally. It wasn't until she was passing out and becoming unconscious that they finally gave her medication and supposedly adequate enough food, said Sally. It all just feels like a budget-conscious version of Squid Games with little to no variation from episode to episode. I mean, both have identical themes with hundreds of contestants in need of money fighting for a large prize pool which is conveniently placed in front of them whilst they attempt to outcompete each other in various challenges. Not to mention the costumes being near identical, with just the number being larger and a slightly different colour. With MrBeast thinking that we wouldn't even notice, I mean, he's already created Squid Games in real life once, there was no need for a second rendition. The only real difference being more money at stake and more disheartened contestants by the end, though I think The Guardian said it best when they stated, the only difference between Beast Game and Squid Game is that when you saw Squid Game you saw a dystopian satire about wealthy people wringing entertainment from the suffering of the needy. When MrBeast saw it, however, you have to assume he he didn't get the satire. Despite all of this though, before the first episode was even released, it would seem the project was doomed to fail, with 5 contestants going as far as to sue MrBeast for the poor living conditions on the set. The suit alleges that Amazon and the MrBeast production company have failed to pay minimum wages and overtime, failed to prevent sexual harassment, subjected contestants to infliction of emotional distress, did not provide meal breaks, rest breaks, or access to basic hygiene, and that contestants were exposed to dangerous circumstances and conditions as a condition of their employment. Alongside this, there have been several horrific misdeeds. Multiple Beast Games participants communicated to News 3 accounts of people experiencing seizures, diabetic shock, and several hospitalizations from physical injuries alongside disorganized handling of medication and inexperienced production leadership. Participants also reported accounts of lost undergarments forcing contestants to wear the same undergarments for days, staff misplacing luggage, porta potties leaking into sleeping areas, poor organization, contestants physically assaulting each other, and other poor management of local production staff. One contestant even came up to the production staff and his sleeping bag, which was covered in excrement. How MrBeast has managed to create such a reckless and disorganized show is beyond me, but alongside this, workers from the show would also criticize the poor management and disorganization within the set, with a lengthy report from the Las Vegas 3 News on the 26th of September said that staff who worked on the show had called it beyond embarrassing and that it had been the most unprofessional production they had ever worked on, with some calling for Donaldson to be blacklisted. These endless issues have caused media outlets to critique the show in nearly every way. Along with the release of the episodes, the public has had a chance to put their views in, and the scores aren't looking so good, with over 1800 reviews and an overall rating of just 2.9 stars, which is still dropping. It's just beyond poor, with some of the reviews reading, Beast Games is without a doubt one of the poorest shows I've ever watched. What initially seemed like a promising concept quickly devolved into a frustrating mess. The show is essentially a game of luck with no real skill or strategy involved. Watching contestants pour their energy and effort into challenges only to lose due to sheer randomness is infuriating. It's impossible to get invested in the outcome because it feels like the winner won't be the most deserving, just somebody who happened to get lucky in the most meaningless way. With another reading, watching Beast Games feels like stepping into a cautionary tale about power, apathy, and exploitation. At first glance, Beast Games is packaged as a high-stakes entertainment, a thrilling competition where contestants chase life-changing prizes. But the more you watch, the more unsettling it becomes. Beneath the bright lights and suspenseful challenges lies an uncomfortable truth. The show capitalizes on financial desperation, turning survival into a spectacle for the masses. The major reviewers haven't rated it much better, with a 13% Rotten Tomatoes score and a 2 out of 10 score from IGN, which MrBeast wasn't so happy with as he released a tweet stating, "Yeah, sad one person who doesn't like me can label something 1,000 people poured their lives into a 2 out of 10 when it's clearly not. The show as future episodes drop is phenomenal, especially once we get the number of contestants down and you get to know them." This statement really comes off as defensive and snarky, like a toddler throwing a tantrum. It does not bode well for his image, and with him being in charge of the show, it's no surprise the production was mismanaged, disorganized, and downright dangerous. As well as contestants being underfed, medications being misplaced, and on-set conditions being unlivable, it's no surprise the show failed from the get-go. The reviews of the show really adding the cherry on the top to the whole disaster MrBeast calls his greatest creation, and it's going to take some real work to rebuild his career after this severe misstep. I'm sure MrBeast will find his way to rebuilding his reputation, but only time will tell.